Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into a really fascinating theological argument. The idea is that an ancient prophecy, one that came from a king's forgotten dream, might have actually predicted the rise and the incredible endurance of the Catholic Church. So, could a dream from 2,500 years ago really predict the future of a global institution? Well, let's get right into it. The story kicks off with King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. We're talking one of the most powerful rulers in the ancient world, and he's totally haunted by this intense dream, a dream he can't even remember. All right, so Section 1, a king's prophetic dream. We're going to be unlocking the vision of this colossal statue. Basically, we're going to walk through the Catholic theological argument that this whole dream was a direct prophecy about the church. So the prophet Daniel gets brought in, and he reveals what the king dreamed. And it's this single, colossal statue. You've got a head of gold, a chest of silver, thighs of bronze, and then legs of iron mixed with clay. I mean, what a powerful and kind of weird image, right? Okay, part 2, 4 empires, 1 statue. Here, we're decoding the metals of history. This is where the interpretation starts connecting each part of that statue to a real-world empire, almost like a roadmap of history. Now, what's really interesting here is how this timeline lays out. You've got the Babylonian Empire starting around 605 BC, then the Medo-Persian, the Greek, and finally, the Roman Empire. And get this sequence wasn't some later Christian idea. Nope, it was the widely accepted interpretation among ancient Jews and the very first Christians. This was just how they understood the flow of history. And this slide just lays it out so clearly. It's a one-to-one mapping. The head of gold, that's the Babylonian Empire. The breast of silver, that's the Medo-Persian Empire. The belly of bronze represents the Greek Empire. And those legs of iron and clay, well, that's the Roman Empire. Okay, now we get to the most dramatic part of the dream, the climax, really. It's called the kingdom cut without hands, because something totally wild is supposed to happen right during the time of that fourth empire, Rome. So what is this stone kingdom? Well, the idea is that it's a fifth, supernatural kingdom. It's established by God himself, and it's destined to just destroy all the others and last forever. It's completely different from the statue because it's not made by human hands. And the prophecy lays out this incredible sequence of events. First, a stone is cut out by no human hand, so it's divine. Then, bam, it strikes the statue right on its feet, those iron and clay legs. And then, the entire thing is just shattered into dust. But here's the kicker. That stone then grows into a massive mountain that fills the whole earth. It doesn't just destroy, it replaces everything. So what does all this mean? Well, this is the absolute core of the argument. The stone is identified with Jesus Christ. Its supernatural origin, being cut without hands, means it's from God. And that great mountain that fills the earth, that's interpreted as the universal spread of the church. It's his kingdom. But as you can imagine, not everyone agrees with this interpretation, so let's take a look at challenging the interpretation and explore some alternative readings of the prophecy. The source material lays out a couple of major counter-arguments, so we'll look at those and the rebuttals. Okay, first challenge. Some skeptical scholars argue that the Book of Daniel was written way later than it claims, maybe during the Greek Empire. If that's true, then the prophecy isn't really a prophecy at all. It's just history, and Greece would be the final kingdom. But the rebuttal to that is pretty direct. It says that argument just assumes from the get-go that supernatural prophecy is impossible, and it also ignores that ancient consensus we talked about, where everyone agreed Rome was the fourth kingdom. All right, the other big argument is that the stone isn't about the church at all, but about Christ's second coming in the future. So this kingdom hasn't even been set up yet. The problem with that, according to the rebuttal, is the timeline. The prophecy is super specific. It says the kingdom will be set up in the days of those kings, meaning the Roman emperors. And that, of course, lines up perfectly with Christ's first coming, not his second. So that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, going from this prophecy to the papacy itself, connecting the kingdom directly to the Catholic Church. This is really why this prophecy is so crucial for Catholic theology. It's used to build this claim of divine origin and historical legitimacy that starts right in the middle of the Roman Empire. And the whole thing really hinges on this one famous quote, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." Jesus renames Simon to Peter, which literally means rock, and then says that on this rock, he's going to build his kingdom, his church. It's a foundational moment. And this table just lays that whole chain of logic out perfectly. It all starts with St. Peter, who is the foundational rock of Christ's kingdom on earth. He ends up in Rome. That's the city of his ministry, his death, and his tomb. So the popes, as the bishops of Rome, are seen as the successors to Peter's authority. And that brings us all the way to today, with the Vatican being the visible seat of that continuous divine authority. So let's put it all together. The argument is that this continuous line of authority, which was established during the Roman Empire, is the modern fulfillment of Daniel's prophecy. It's presented as that everlasting kingdom that God himself set up.
So, how does a 2,500-year-old text continue to shape the identity of a global institution today? It's really an amazing example of how an ancient prophecy is read to explain the present. It really makes you think about the lasting power of these foundational stories, doesn't it?